Hello, everybody. This is Brian Leonard, the VP of Marketing here at AppSmart, and I want to congratulate you all on joining this virtual event to help to educate yourself, to learn, and to help you help your clients through the COVID-19 scene or the things that we're going through right now. So this is Lead Through Technology. It's a virtual event where we help you make the pivot to help your clients make that pivot through the remote workforce world that we're living in right now. So we're going to be talking about what other sales partners out there are doing right now. What are the other technology advisors doing that is really successful, as well as what our channel managers and our sales engineers are hearing and seeing where those technology advisors are growing their businesses, even through all that we're going through right now. The virtual event is going to be broken up into 3 webinars. Each one is on the hour starting now. The first one that we're doing is all about SaaS, how to help your clients using an ecosystem of SaaS solutions. Whether it's from security, whether it's for productivity, whether it's for backup, there are core solutions that your clients need. How to sell those. We are the largest B2B marketplace in the world, and that's because we have over 300 SaaS products and solutions that we can sell and that you can sell. So how do you do it quick? How do you do it fast? How do you get your clients moving? The second webinar is going to be on, there are some clients who just want to go fast. They want a productivity solution yesterday, and they want to get up and running as quickly as possible. So what can you do for those? That's a different conversation than I want a complete long-term solution. So there are 2 products there, obviously Microsoft and Google. What's the difference? Why would one client want one versus the other? How do you sell it? How do you get paid on it, et cetera? So that's going to be the second virtual event. And number 3 is on the connectivity side of this new remote workforce world. What can you do to upgrade your clients on specific services that they have right now? What are the new services that you can provide? There's a lot of confusion out there. What's working on the connectivity side? We're going to run you through that. So there are multiple speakers here that we're going to be speaking with. We're going to have multiple experts. It's going to be a lot of interaction. It's not going to be the traditional virtual event where you just read off slides. I may jump in. There may be other speakers that jump in and ask questions. There's going to be a chat feature here. If you want to ask other questions of other attendees, join the chat, ask questions. And there's also a questions module here in the GoToWebinar module where you can ask questions. We will answer those all at the end of this webinar. So it's going to be about a half hour of presentation, 14 or 15 minutes of Q&A and interaction, and then there's going to be a 15-minute break, and then we start the next webinar. So the next session starts on the hour. So with that in mind, I want to introduce our speakers today. First is going to be Steve Slaughter. He is our Cloud Channel Manager and Consultant for SaaS and Managed Cloud. He's been doing it for more than 10 years. This guy is amazing. He knows everything about SaaS solutions, Managed Cloud solutions, more importantly, how your customers buy them. And next we have Mr. Aaron Tall. He's the Director of Product Marketing here at AppSmart. More than 20 years of experience on the SaaS side, making the packages that customers want to buy. How do you package them? How do you sell them? How do you go to market with them? So these guys are super duper sharp. You're going to learn a lot today. I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Aaron Tull.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. And happy to see everybody here today, this morning, this afternoon, whatever it might be in your time zone. I'm looking at this presenter picture, and that was prior to my working from home, do-it-yourself haircut. So it's nice to see that I can still grow hair if I need to. So again, welcome. We're going to cover a lot of things in this session, and hopefully it'll all be informative. We're going to start out with a little brief intro on who AppSmart is. I know a lot of you on this call probably have worked with us before, but for those who haven't, kind of want to touch on that a little bit. We're going to look at how remote work is working. Remote work is functioning right now. where the trends were prior to the situation we're currently in and where we are now. And then Steve's going to come in here and talk a little bit more about the customers, about what's in the bundles, why I work with AppSmart, and in general, how to sell these products and get them to your customers as quick as possible. So with that said, let's move right into the first section here. All right, so who is AppSmart? As Brian put it, we are the largest B2B marketplace for selling recurring technology services. We, on the SaaS side, we work with a number of the leading folks to deliver about 300 plus SaaS solutions. On the connectivity and managed cloud, about 400 providers to cover just about anything that your customers need. We can just jump to the next one. You'll see right here, this is a graphic just sort of illustrating all of the services that we can deliver for your customers. And I think, a lot of these things are things and things your customers are already using. But I think what makes this kind of unique is we wrap all this in with services that we provide. So we've got services for advisors like yourselves around support, commissioning, escalation to the providers, and then for your clients, where we handle the migration, implementation, tier 1 and tier 2 help desk, as well as invoicing through the marketplace. So good value adds for your customers and for you. Now let's move into the fun stuff. So remote work. As Brian put, I came out of SaaS. So I came out of the SaaS world and technology. I've been there a long time. We always had the opportunity to work remote. It was part of what we needed. It was part of what the companies built their models around. So it was really common to me. But as I've worked more in the AppSmart world, there's a lot of companies that weren't there. And you'll see like the trends are millennials, 50% of the workforce are millennials. And of those millennials, 85% want to work remotely. And it goes beyond actual flexibility to work remotely. They want to be able to work remotely 100% of the time. So you can see there's been a big push there. And a lot of business owners, I think the biggest struggle they have is, well, if I let my employees work remote, do I lose the connection? Do I have to worry about productivity? Are they going to be looking for jobs instead of doing their work? So Stanford University did a study over 2 years where they looked at those exact factors, and it turns out, no, that's really not what they were finding. And you'll see 13.5% more productive than people in an office, 9% more engaged, and employee engagement's a huge thing, and less likely to quit by 50%. So you got a retention issue there too that's just phenomenal. So this was already something that was spinning up. I think a lot of folks had at least thought about it as business owners, but maybe not implemented stuff. So if we move to the next slide, we'll talk about something that's going to be a catalyst for this. So what's happened in the last 2 weeks? COVID-19 has happened. Look at yourself, look at the people on this call. I'm sitting in my office at home. I'm no longer in my office at work. And I was. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting at my desk at work, and today I'm at home with my brand new haircut. But I think that you see a lot of people are in that same boat. There were companies that weren't prepared for this. There was no lead time on this. 1 minute it was like, well, we might have some restrictions to, oh, by the way, don't come to work indefinitely. We need you to shut down your offices. And so that leads these customers to be scrambling, trying to find solutions. They know they have to adapt to this. If they can't, jobs are lost. Their businesses may be lost. And I'm sure that you guys are closer to this than anybody, and you see this out there. But, I think there's an opportunity for the advisors on this call. I think there's the opportunity to take the knowledge you have, the skills you have, and help these companies weather this storm, to get through it, to get through the next couple months, to build sustainable businesses that can respond to things like this. So I think whereas there's been horrible disruption, I think there's a lot of opportunity both for your customers and as well as for yourselves. So I think, it comes to like the challenges that people are now facing, I think it breaks down into two. There's a technological challenge and there's a functional challenge. And the technological challenges are obvious. It's your IT infrastructure. Like, is your software set up to work remote? Do you have to worry about security? Are people logging in from, unsafe, unsecured networks, then getting into your company systems? And then you have bandwidth, and bandwidth's on two sides. Do your end users at home have enough bandwidth to do this? With 2 kids on iPads downstairs, like might be happening in my house, and does the company have enough bandwidth for people to access their systems via VPN? These are big issues that have to get dealt with, and we're going to deal with a couple of them here. And when it comes down to that bandwidth issue, the third session coming up today is going to focus a lot on that and what you can do to help folks with bandwidth on both sides of the scale. So that's a big one to get on. The culture one is the other thing. So if you have an in-house organization and everybody's working at the same office, there's a lot of shoulder tapping, there's team meetings, staff meetings, things like that to keep everybody connected. When everybody spreads out and they're in their houses, you need to make conscious efforts to keep everybody connected. And, a lot of the tools we're going to talk about today really play to that whole sort of connectivity piece and keeping those routines, whether they're virtual or in place. Get to the next one. So now I'm going to hand things over to Steve, because we're going to get into the customer and the product side of things, and he's going to run with you on this one. So Steve, why don't you take it from here?
Thanks, Aaron. You did a great job. So here's what I'm hearing from customers. I'll tell you, I just got off the phone with a customer that has 90% of their workforce now working remote. And by the end of this week, they're pushing to 98% remote work. And next week, 100% work from home. And they have, map shared drive syncs and some clunky VPN infrastructure that they're using to try to share their company data across their different sites today. And that's just not cutting the mustard now that they have workers trying to access this data from anywhere at home, right? And so they're coming to us for some help with SharePoint and Team drives, and they're coming through an affiliate, a technology advisor that's really taken advantage of the opportunity that Aaron has talked about to be the answer, part of the solution for the customer. And so one of their challenges is with migration. And, they want somebody that understands how difficult that can be and understands what they're trying to accomplish. The IT department's very stressed and overworked, so they're looking for an easy button that they can hit to migrate all of their shared files into a new cloud architecture that's backed up in another cloud just in case something happens. And that's going to help them reduce risk. Through AppSmart and our relationships with our vendors, we're providing a single source for a solution that includes all of those tools. And we're also helping them navigate the challenges that they're facing. And, when they have a challenge like this, they really depend on you to be their trusted advisor and play quarterback. And it's great when we're able to come in and provide a great experience and everything, and a rapid deployment, quick speed to market, and the support to make sure that they're comfortable and that there's no business disruption. So those are some of the things that we're seeing from our customers. And this was a national construction company, about 500 users. We also have some smaller ones around the 200 to 250 user mark where we're seeing the same concerns. They just want to be able to access their data and do it comfortably and securely. So let's talk about, generally speaking, what your customers need to successfully work from home. Now, Aaron, would probably agree that you need core productivity. He works all day in his email. He works all day in documents. He works on slide deck presentations. As a matter of fact, him and Saul did a great job putting together and helping this slide deck here. But you also need backup so that when things are deleted by accident or on purpose, you can restore them quickly without business disruption. Also, as you can see, we're utilizing chat and video and voice all in one experience here. And companies are having to do this with internal meetings, external meetings, webinars, and all sorts of engagements that would happen normally in an office. They got to do this remote now. So it's really an opportunity for you to provide a core of productivity and collaboration to them with either Google or Microsoft. And I can't wait to get to the second webinar where we're going to discuss the pros and merits of each one of these two. Now, let's talk about conferencing real quick. Google and Microsoft each have conferencing tools built into the collaboration and productivity platforms. Google's got Hangout Meets. It's great. It's got a tight integration with Google Calendar. We use it internally all the time. It's an easy to use solution. Many of you have probably been on conferences with me where we've used Google Hangouts Meet. On Microsoft Teams, it's a replacement of Skype. So many of you might not know this, but Microsoft is actually deprecating or doing away with Skype and replacing it with Teams. It does offer a direct routing for phone lines, and both Google and Microsoft are actually doing some things right now to help with the current environment. Now, it's important to understand both of these platforms have chat capability, video and voice conferencing, and integration with the rest of the productivity tools like email and calendar and more. So this is how businesses are communicating with each other, using both Google and Microsoft to do so from wherever their employees may be sitting. Now, I mentioned some of this before. Yeah.
So, real quick question for you on that. So, you have Teams and you have chat, but you also have like the GoToWebinars and the Zooms and all the big conferencing platforms, right? Is it safe to say these are more for internal team members? If you have a company of 100 people or 50 or 25, these are easy to do internal meetings. And when you have like giant meetings on the outside, that's when you would go with one of the other platforms, or can this do it all? I mean, it's just like a replacement for them?
That's a great question, Brian. And I'll say we believe at AppSmart, you should use whatever platform works best for your individual use case and your business process. But I'll answer that question by saying that both of these platforms are capable of doing external meetings just as well as the internal meetings. So you could utilize these platforms to quote unquote do it all if you wanted to, but we believe you should use whatever platform's best for your use case.
Yeah, just real quick, weigh in on my feedback on that. It's a really good question, and Steve's answer was dead on. A couple actual product things too. The Google Hangouts, what they're offering free right now, or it's not free, it's upgraded if you have a license already, is access to the advanced version of Meet, which enables you to be at the larger capacity of up to 250 attendees, which does put you in line with the GoToMeeting. I think this product is actually 250 that we're on right now. So that is there, but I do agree. I think that if you're getting into larger outside of your organization meetings, you may need a different product or a supplemental product, but for any internal, even large internal meetings, either one of these products are a great fit.
Yeah. Use what's best of breed. That's what we like to say. So what happens when somebody deletes something? We had a customer a few days ago that deleted a bunch of files that they needed for a meeting the next day. It was an accidental deletion, and they're not even sure that they deleted it, but it really doesn't matter because all he cared about was getting his files back for his meeting that he was having the next day. Because he was buying a core bundle from us, he had a cloud-to-cloud backup solution, and we were able to restore all those files. All he had to do was email us or call us. And the point is, when you're storing files, storing calendars, storing emails and calendars and all this stuff together in one platform, if something happens to that platform, that's obviously bad. You want to be able to recover from that. But employees can delete things by accident. Rogue employees can delete things on purpose. We had another customer that went and deleted his entire inbox for 2 years worth of emails. And we had to restore something like 850 items back into his email inbox. Other customers call us and they don't buy the core bundle, and they're in trouble. They have to deal with Microsoft's SLA or Google's SLA on how long they keep items in the deleted folder. And many times it's, after 30 days, it's gone. Or if an employee is really rogue and smart enough, he'll delete it from the deleted and it's gone. So not only business continuity, but for a lot of reasons and scenarios, you need a cloud-to-cloud backup for files and emails and all of the other things like chat communications, etc. Moving on down, if you think about how employees work, they have to use a device to get to these tools. What's securing that device? Now more than ever, employees are going to be doing this from home Wi-Fi that may or may not be secured. Companies going to have questions about that. And the employee may be using their personal device. The employee wants to know that his personal device isn't at risk from some malware or virus attack just because he was using it for work. So we have customers calling us and asking about how do we secure our devices that our employees are using to access these software as a service business applications. And we're providing the answer. You can provide the answer. It's a huge opportunity to sell this as a bundle and offer this as a wrapped up solution. Visibility and tracking. Aaron touched on this. How do we know our employees are going to be productive? So, I mean, Brian, you probably have some data on this, but, you know, how do you feel companies are doing when it comes to understanding whether their employees are making money for the company or just goofing off at home? I mean, what are your thoughts? What have you heard?
I can tell you that the marketing department is definitely not goofing off. Stats show that we're the hardest working in the company. Sales is another question. We have a lot of concern over that sales team over there. No, I think the idea, what the data shows is that business owners are a lot more concerned than they should be many times. But many of them like the idea. They like having the data. It gives them the confidence. It gives them the confidence that they can have a remote workforce and they don't have to worry that people are out at the beach or anything like that, right? But I think what most of them will find as we move through this economy is it's not as scary as they think, but they still want that confidence. And it's also like an 80-20 rule, right? Is that you're going to have 20% of your employees, might be slacking. Most of them will not. 20% may, and those are the ones that you really want to keep an eye on.
Yep. So I've had some conversations where the conversation has been around adoption. Users are not utilizing the tools that they're being given by the IT department, and it's resulting in higher numbers of help desk tickets and questions to that IT department, causing them a lot of more stress. And this is definitely a time when they do not need that. So product training is something that we include in Microsoft Core and Google Core because we believe if you're making the investment in these productivity suites, employees need to use it to the fullest extent. So on-demand video training that they can access at any time or that IT can assign them to take is going to be vital for their success and return on investment. So let's talk specifically about some of this stuff. And I'll tell you, I don't want to go too deep here, but I do feel like, and Aaron, you might agree, there's a lot of people that don't know what endpoint security really does. There's a lot of people that may not know why cloud-to-cloud backup is important and why training is important. So Bitdefender is what we include in our core bundles. Bitdefender is an award-winning solution. It is built on a platform that's truly multi-layer for security. What that means is when an employee is accessing these applications with a device, that device is protected from viruses and malware. And if they're using it at home, you can turn it into a firewall and further protect corporate data this way. So this gives IT managers that I talk to a lot of sense of security and comfort. You should definitely take the opportunity to ask anybody you're talking to what they're currently using to combat security breaches from devices. And if employees are accessing files from the home or public Wi-Fi, how they're preventing breaches. And that's just an awesome opportunity to protect your customers' data. And don't let them call you. Like I had an agent that unfortunately we offered a lot of this stuff when we first talked to them, but they did not buy it. He called us about 2 months later and said to them that one of the companies got hacked, and he felt really bad. But I had to remind him, you did your part. You offered the solution. It's the customer that didn't want to buy it for whatever reason, but you did your part. So you can't be down on yourself. You've got to make sure that you understand if you just offer this stuff and let them say no, you've done your part to take the opportunity to protect your customers' data and add value. But this is a very easy to install application. It's managed by us, and we can fully support it or train admins on how to administer it. So cloud-to-cloud backup, I already told you about the deleted mailbox. I already told you about the scenario with rogue employees. But ransomware is another big one. You should ask every single customer what their current backup strategy is. This is a cloud-based tool that we're including that automatically backs up customer data into a separate cloud. What customer data does it back up? It backs up calendars, contacts, emails, files, and chat communication. If anything's ever deleted for any reason, we can search and find it and restore it. This has happened to me personally. I lost something. I don't know that I deleted it. I won't admit that I deleted it, but I lost something. And so I had to contact our internal support department, pretend I was a customer and say, hey, I can't find this file. Here's what it calls. Here's what I named it. Do you think you can search for it, find it, and restore it? Boom. They did it within like 5 or 10 minutes of me asking them for it. Aaron, Brian, I don't know if you guys have been here long enough to have that happen, but I know we do a lot of file sharing and we're working on documents. It's really easy to lose stuff. I mean, it doesn't have to be ransomware. It doesn't have to be like a rogue deletion, right? I mean, we can just lose stuff. It happens.
Yeah, for me, it's user error for sure. User error on my part.
User error. Yeah. So, ask customers, what do they do? How do they protect themselves from those types of accidents? So anyway, ransomware is a big one though. Phishing attacks are happening all the time. As a matter of fact, I'll mention in some of the add-ons, ways to stop phishing attacks, but ransomware is always going to be a threat. If your whole cloud is locked down, you've got a problem. You're going to have to call somebody. You don't want to call Microsoft and Google direct, trust me. So this is a very valuable solution. And it's important to point out, and I think I did a good job of this, but let me just say it again. Google and Microsoft are not cloud backup solutions. That's where you're storing your stuff. You're backing it up somewhere else.
Yeah, and I would say there's
Great.
also a compliance component here that, especially in the medical field, legal field, the financial field, that these companies used to be in compliance when everyone was inside the building. Now that they've just had to disperse, many of them are very, very worried right now that they're not meeting their obligations and what they have to comply with. Now that everybody is around the country, they may be doing things correctly. They may be backing up their data. They may not. Where is it being backed up at? So there's also a compliance play here as well, and that's a conversation that you can have with your clients.
Yeah, Brian, that's a great point. I'm going to circle back on that later in the add-ons part. Right. If I forget to, please call me out on it. All right. So let's move on to voice. So, we have access to all the world's leading communication providers. We believe in using the right platform for your specific use case and business process. But we have included Dialpad in our bundles because it's the quickest to deploy and it can be bundled together with all these applications and supported end-to-end in a seamless way. It's easy to use. It integrates with Microsoft and Google, and it will allow you to call from any device. And there's a free conferencing version that you can upgrade for more robust conferencing capability if you need to. Inexpensive to implement. And we can fully support it. And we are very confident in our ability to support this. We actually have a customer that came over to us after they were already a Dialpad customer. They came over to us and wanted to transfer to using by AppSmart, which includes our support, because we were supporting the rest of their environment, quite frankly, their Google, their backup, their endpoint security, and their training. And so we took over those licenses, but they came specifically because of the value of our support and how we could support it end to end. So ask, how do the employees handle voice calling while remote? Do they have a soft phone? Do they still need a desk phone? What about their mobile phone? Is there an app on their mobile phone? How are you currently managing your phone system is a good question to ask as well. Companies should understand that the rising workforce really does not want a desk phone, but the rest of the workforce might still want a desk phone, and Dialpad's perfectly fine and works with certain types of desk phones as well. And are you looking to expand your remote workforce? We have real estate agents and people that have remote salespeople that utilize Dialpad because it is very remote workforce friendly, and that was that's obviously even before what happened with this virus. So product training. Let me touch on this just a little bit more. Product training is important. So product is Microsoft or Google. Again, I cannot wait for the second webinar where we actually talk about what's included. But real quick, it's file storage, it's the ability to share files, it's chat communication, video calling. If you really want to create, I think Brian made the point of, what about the other conferencing solutions, or can you do it all on one platform? If you want to create, the experience of doing it all on one platform, or if you don't, it's important for the employees to know either way how to utilize these tools and what's included. And that's what product training is all about. They're short videos on demand. You can assign them to users, and you can also just have users, access it anytime it's convenient. So how do you train employees? Is the software included in the training? Are you concerned that you're not getting the most from these applications and you're not, getting the ROI? Aaron, do you have any? I have a story around this, but before I do that, do you have anything to add here for product training?
No, I mean, nothing specific, but I think you touched on really what it is. Like these suites have a lot of functionality, and I mean, there's functionality within the applications, and there's interconnectivity functionality, and there's just generally like, how do you jump into some of these things? And when you get into the conferencing and meeting setup stuff, those can be a whole new ball game. Like they have a lot of power. You can also do them wrong, and so I think just having this available to employees where they're not asking your IT guys for help on these basic functions or even more advanced functions of the product suite, it's a useful thing to have. I know I use these prior to coming to AppSmart. I had a lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning as it is now subscription. I got it because I had a design background, but over time I was learning how to do pivot tables better. So as my career grew out of design into marketing, I spent a lot more time learning things. So I think they're valuable resources, and I think they do take a load off of IT, and they also make sure you're really using the power of these suites.
Yeah. And so my story is around a financial services organization that had Office 365, and they were paying for the full productivity suite. The challenge was what they found is they were only using email, basically. They still had on-site file shares. They were, using some other video conferencing platform, and they weren't using inter-office chat at all. So they were only using one out of like maybe 9 core apps that they could have been using. Once they realized this, they were really looking to the agent, to the technology advisor, to be an advisor. Who can help me utilize all these tools? And so they brought them to AppSmart, and AppSmart wrapped our support, our end-to-end end user support around there, where you can call somebody and ask, hey, how do I use SharePoint? When should I use SharePoint versus, OneDrive? Those are the file storage and sharing applications, by the way. Those are included. They had access to them, but they had no clue how to use them. So they could call us. So we wrapped that around, but we also gave them this. We gave them Team Fusion. So through Team Fusion, they were able to gradually assign learning modules and training to their user base. And they did it. It was brilliant how they did it. They did it by business unit. And it, over 3 to 4 months, the feedback I got personally through the technology advisor, he said that he was told they used 50% more applications within 3 months and just saw a dramatic uptick in productivity and office activity and usage of that application. So let me talk a little bit about add-on products, if I may. So that was just sort of the start. Let's talk about things that other companies or other things that companies may want in order to expand on the capability or a specific use case. Productivity monitoring is kind of where I'll start. My conversation before this call and the conversation I had before that were both around how do we make our workforce productive while they're remote. We can't watch them. They can't access the same help and assistance like they could. And those were their fears and challenges. And ProtoScore measures productivity. So from an employee standpoint, I can tell you personally, I'm actually very, very comfortable with my measurement of my productivity because it helps me understand where and how I'm spending my time. And that way, Brian doesn't question sales and whether or not we're outputting like we should be. But from an employer standpoint, my boss knows that whether I'm at home or on a plane or even traveling to see family without taking PTO, I'm doing things every day to grow the AppSmart brand and grow the opportunity for our partners. So it's a two-way street, productivity monitoring. It's not Big Brother. It's about being comfortable knowing how you're spending your time is positive for your career growth. And it's about management understanding what employees are doing and how they're doing it. So how does productivity monitoring actually work? It's machine learning, which is a big marketing buzz term, for saying it knows whether I am in a chat message or whether I am creating a new document and adding to something or producing something versus just sitting there idly with the little green light on saying that I'm available. It's, am I sending an email or just checking my inbox? Things like that. So it's using machine learning to measure how I'm actually using the applications in the productivity suite. And it's scoring me. It's kind of fun too. I can see where I stack up against my colleagues. So it aggregates this into a single number. That's how the scoring works. And you can see trends in productivity over time.
And I believe it's also got an integration with Salesforce.com, right? Which is another. So you've got Microsoft, you've got Google, you got Salesforce.com, which is a real big one for a lot of organizations. So, okay.
Yep. Yeah,
and RingCentral and Vonage too on the UCaaS side, which is good point.
Yep. You making calls? You know, what's your outbound call versus inbound call looking like? How does that contribute to your score? What are you doing in Salesforce? Are you creating opportunities, logging tasks, adding contacts? Oh yeah, totally. And note on Salesforce, you know, we offer world-class services around administering Salesforce instances. Dynamics instances is the other CRM and ERP that we work with. So we've got services around that that can be added on. You know, I might touch on that a little bit later in a story about a healthcare organization if I get a chance. But real quick, let me cover cloud connectivity failover. So people are at home. You know, they're using their Wi-Fi network. Aaron mentioned the two kids might be downstairs on their tablet. So bandwidth might be an issue. But what if the bandwidth goes out? You know, we have hurricanes in North Carolina. Let's hope this is solved by the time hurricane season comes. But we lose power from time to time. You know, your Wi-Fi goes out. What are you going to do? This answers that question. But this does it in a way that's easy to be billed on a monthly basis. So if you are no longer working from home, the company can shut this off. The other cool thing about it is that it's easy to put into a package where the business can pay for it. You know, I don't know of many businesses that are going to, pay for Wi-Fi at the house, but this is something easy for the business to implement and they can pay for it. So the AppSmart advantage, I've told some stories about it, but I want to spell it out and answer it. This is the definitive edition. What is AppSmart doing to make your customers successful? So we have experts on staff trained in all the solutions that we offer in the marketplace that we can actually bill for and deploy and set up and configure. We can also support. They're trained, they're certified, they're anxious to help customers. 24/7, 365, tier 1 and tier 2 end user support. That can extend, to an admin as well. So it doesn't just have to be end users calling us. An IT admin at a large company with an established IT resource can call us for operational guidance on demand anytime. And, we do the implementation, we do the data migration. Those are some challenges that people are really worried about right now. But what happens after you're migrated? Like, who handles all the change management? You know, who handles the inbound training requests? Literally I want to learn how to use this, or this is different than what I'm used to. Can you help me? You know, IT departments right now are stretched thinner than ever. This is the perfect opportunity for you to offer AppSmart as an extension of the IT resources at an organization, regardless of the size. But I will say the value is really recognized in an organization between 250 to 500 employees. We also do a lot of technology consulting. It's unbiased advice and consulting. And this is where we deliver the most value: operational guidance and technology consulting. We understand our customers, and we understand what you're trying to accomplish with your customers, and we're here to help. Last but not least, this is a big differentiator. We can build all of these solutions inside of the marketplace and deploy them on the marketplace. So any apps that are purchased on AppSmart, can be billed there. They're going to receive a bill for those. So if there's a billing question, one phone call they need to make, right? And they can access their billing history for all of their cloud applications in one place. Anything I should add, Aaron or Brian? The definitive edition here?
Yeah, I mean, this is a unique model, especially in the channel. Number one, we are 100% channel. We talk about the end customer a lot because we are focused on making sure that value is provided the entire way through the chain, but we are 100% channel. On the SaaS side and on the managed cloud side, it's a little different, or actually it's a lot different from the traditional connectivity side in that, with 300 different SaaS solutions, your customer doesn't want to go to, so I've got a question about a Bitdefender question, and then I've got another one about Microsoft, and another one about Google, and they don't want to have to go to 20 different places to get questions answered. With AppSmart and the SaaS solution, they can come through AppSmart, right? We have a help desk here at AppSmart where everything can just go to one place. So that's really what is used to cause a little bit of confusion in the channel, but that's why we do it, because we're on the connectivity side as well as the SaaS and managed cloud side. So I don't want to beat that into the ground, but so yeah, we do have some questions that I would like to get to as well here, Steve. So
do you want to shoot those now?
Yeah, sure. So one of the questions I thought was really interesting, which was a great question. If you can do everything in Microsoft or Google, why are you not using that for this webinar, right? Why are you using GoToWebinar and not Microsoft, Google? Great question. And my answer to that was webinars are very different than a meeting where you're just meeting and talking. With webinars, there's just a bunch of stuff you have to do at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. There's a number of things you have to do that make it more complex than just a regular video chat. So that's why we go with the GoToWebinar. Great question.
Adding on to that really quick, that's the reason they make a GoToMeeting and a GoToWebinar as separate products.
Right.
Exactly the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
If one on cloud backup, does it apply to non-Microsoft and Google products? And if you have Microsoft, Google, how do you answer that question of, well, we're already doing backup?
Great. So
yes.
Do you know the answer to that one? You go ahead.
The answer number one is yes. It does apply to non-Microsoft and Google products. And I'll let you answer the objection handler. I mean, I've got some ideas on we already do backup, right?
Yeah. So it's like, well, how do you do it? And are you sure it's working? And have you ever tried to restore? So we actually had a customer that thought they were doing some backups with basically a tool that would back up their Office instances and their G Suite instances out to a hosted data center storage repository. Turns out they were missing the backups for the exact period of time that they needed to restore. And so that was the catalyst for them calling their technology advisor and saying, hey, I need to fix this problem before it rears its ugly head again. And so, there's a bunch of ways to do that, but I think it's most simple and most clean if you just back it up in a separate cloud with a SaaS license. So Brian, that was two really good questions. Do you want to move on and then we can hit the rest at the end?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. So we have it all in this remote work bundle. You know, we have the software for productivity. We've got the endpoint security. We've got the cloud backup. We've got the voice. The productivity monitoring can be added in, and the product training is there, whether you're on Google or Microsoft or both. You have everything you need in a bundle that can be delivered to implement, you know, work from home immediately. So let's talk about real quick, how do we sell it? So the first thing to do is call your customers. Right now is a time where there's so much opportunity for you to provide relief to your customers and be the answer and be the solution. With all the things that we're talking about, that's how you do it. You got to be curious, ask a lot of open-ended questions, and really understand, like, what are their top concerns right now. If I could solve 1 to 3 things for you, what would the top one be? And let's work on that. So make it visual. We have a finished agent resources master folder. We will share that link. You should bookmark it. We'll add to that over time, but there is collateral provided by AppSmart. Aaron, Salwa, the rest of the team does a great job at adding to that folder over time. So make it visual for the customer. And there's also some things that you can use, like sell guides as well. So lots of stuff in there. Collaborate. So work with my colleagues, work with the team here at AppSmart. There are sales engineers, but at AppSmart, you know, we have a lot of great talent in the Raleigh office that can help you. And you also have partner relationship managers in Detroit and in LA, and partner advocates and partner support that's there to help you. So work with our team here. Support. So utilize our support. Like, everybody that's listening to this should think about, how do I do this for myself? Like, how do I work from home successfully? How do I get questions answered when something's not working? How do I make the most of the application I've invested in? That's what you should be thinking. So use it and sell it. We should be offering 24/7, 365 support on all of the opportunities you bring our way. And you should be regurgitating some stories that I've mentioned here today. Sell on integration. So remember that all of these applications, they work together, but they don't just do that out of the box. And over time, things will stop working because vendors upgrade features and the update breaks something. Somebody needs to plug it back in. And so sell on the integration. Sell, you know, talk about how AppSmart makes the applications smart. They work together. They're supposed to. We enable that. So it's important to know as well, you know, when you get a customer that already has Google, already has Office 365, that's not a closed door. That's an open door. Like I said, a customer approached us. They were already on Microsoft, but they wanted help understanding what was included and how they could use it. So we can actually take over existing licenses and talk about the ins and outs of that on a case-by-case basis. But at the end of the day, anything that you offer through AppSmart, you're going to get a recurring payout on that based on the total monthly recurring revenue that we're billing to the customer, or that the customer is getting billed. And so we can easily transfer licenses. And when, let's say they don't or can't, for whatever reason, immediately stop paying Microsoft and start paying AppSmart, the option could be just give them access to our support and services immediately. And that's really what they want anyway, is they want our help. You know, this is a huge opportunity for you to just give them access to somebody that can help. And you'll still get paid on that. So a quick review on qualifying questions real quick. Are you having to work from home because of COVID? Probably the answer is yes. Are employees able to do it effectively? Are you concerned about the productivity of the remote work employees? Are you having any issues with bandwidth? And how are you handling the support? Is your IT department now more stressed than ever? And so, take the opportunity to ask some of these questions and uncover pain points, and just know that we can help. So there's 3 steps. This is the quickest way to get started. Figure out what kind of licenses they want for Google and Microsoft. Again, we're going to talk about what's included in Google and Microsoft in the second session. Get employee training resources, and let's talk about whether or not they need the migration of existing email or files. Step number one, let's talk about what you should do next after this call. Talk to your channel manager. Get copies of some of these selling guides that I mentioned. We actually have a selling guide specifically for remote work bundling. And it's in the subfolder of the Finished Agent Resources Master folder. So get into that and read it and then take action on it. And that's step number 3, take action. Get in touch with your customers. Let them know you can help. Take the opportunity, tell them some stories. Let them know you can help and you can be the answer and the solution. This is a great time. Best time to talk to customers is right now. Brian, anything you want to add, or Aaron, anything you guys want to add here?
Yeah, I got one quick thing I'll mention. After the webinars, you'll be getting an email from us that'll have direct links to where you can get this collateral. We have selling guides that have kind of some of the tips for you as agents on how to sell it. We also have customer facing pieces you can leave behind. And all the qualifying questions that we've mentioned, there's actually a document that has all those mapped out for you. So once this is done, we'll be sending an email with that and some other resources for y'all folks to get moving with.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
That's all for me too. There are a number of questions in here. There are some questions about the bundle. There's some questions about pricing, questions about the Bitdefender. So we don't have time to answer those on this webinar right now, but we will answer those in this within this module. We'll get to answering those, and we'll follow up in an email on them as well as if we'll follow up with you personally on a few of the more technical questions. So I apologize we didn't have time to get through some of the more nuts and bolts here, but great questions coming through. I'll see about getting the links to a lot of these links we're talking about. We're going to send them in an email, but I'm going to also try to get them into the chat here as well. So keep an eye out here on the chat module. So we have the next session starting in 5 minutes. That's going to be on going not too deep in Microsoft and Google, just if you want to get your clients started like right away, right? They've got all of these remote workers and they're on a bunch of different systems and it's not backed up and it's not all working together. They don't want to do a lengthy migration and, a thing that's going to take a month to do. They got to get started immediately. What can you do with Microsoft and Google? Why one over the other? How do you sell it? How do you position it? What if they already have licenses right now? And they're like, well, I already have Microsoft, right? How can you position this solution as the best solution, which it is, by the way? What are the talking points there? That's all coming up in 5 minutes. There's a lot of talk here on, UCaaS, and there were some wireless things going on. So there are a number of great UCaaS solutions, great webinar solutions, right? It's not just GoToWebinar, or there are a number of great solutions. You can get them all through AppSmart. There's Zoom, there's RingCentral, there's 8x8, there's Vonage. There's a number of different solutions. We're going to talk about those in 1 hour. So stay tuned for those. So if you have any more questions, you can keep those coming. We will answer them all. And other than that, I really appreciate you attending, guys. Thank you, and we'll see you here in 5 minutes.